Another episode of the Sept podcast. I'm your host, Brant Freeman, coming off a very exciting week at Texas State. Certainly the Route 77 for the football team, putting up 77 points in the home opening win against Jackson State. Texas State soccer won its conference opener, blanking Louisiana 3-0. And Bobcat volleyball coming off its final non-conference weekend of the season as they won 2 of 3 at the Jayhawk Invitational in Lawrence, Kansas. So here to talk to us more about Bobcat volleyball, our student-athlete guest this week is Carlee Pharris. She's a transfer from TCU at the setter position, a redshirt freshman in her first year now at Texas State. She joins us on the podcast. Carlee, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well, Carlee, and thank you for joining us. And
of course, glad to be here.
The first thing I'd like to kind of get into here is how you wound up a Bobcat. You know, I know a year ago you were in Fort Worth at TCU, and you ended up transferring here to Texas State. So tell me a little bit more about that and how you wound up as a Bobcat.
Yeah, so just did not go through a really good year at TCU and knew that I wanted to be in the portal and find somewhere new, fresh start. And in the process, I had some options of like, you know what, do I want to just go out of state and start completely over? But at the end of the day, I knew that like all the hardships I'd gone through at TCU, I wanted to remain close to family and people that could really support me. So I ended up choosing here and absolutely love it. It's been amazing, close to home, close to grandparents, the people here, the coaching staff, the players. It was the best choice.
And I understand, too, that kind of when you arrived, you know, in San Marcos, for a lot of the reasons you just kind of laid out, I've been told you kind of rediscovered your love for the game a little bit more once you got here. If you could give us some insight into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a really great high school career, had an amazing coaching staff there at Brandeis in San Antonio, and loved volleyball. Graduating high school, graduated early to go to TCU, loved it. I wanted to be in the gym all the time. And as I had my time at TCU, I just completely lost that spark. And if you've seen me play, especially if you knew me in high school, like I have this fire. I want to be the loudest one, having a lot of fun. But that all kind of got stripped from me at TCU. And when I got here, the coaching staff, Sean, Keith, Charlie, all of them were really, really opening to allow me to like discover that again and supporting me in like anything and teaching me a lot. And I just felt like as soon as I got here, it was like a light switch just flipped and I just found it right away again. And as I went throughout the spring and especially right now, I'm just like on cloud 9 with volleyball.
You know, you referenced your time at San Antonio Brandeis. I think I saw your senior year, Broncos go 47-2. You're the third-ranked team in the country. And there have been some parallels drawn between yourself and another setter that used to play Brandeis and started at Texas State at the position setter once upon a time and not too long ago, of course, yeah. Emily DeWalt. 5 tremendous years here, 5-time Sun Belt Setter of the Year, and arguably, you know, one of the best players who's ever come through this rich program. How much have you heard about that? You know, the comparisons between you and Emily, given your background, and how much have you got to know about DeWalt's career, given the fact you followed a similar path at Brandeis?
Yeah, so I've heard a little bit about it. It honestly hasn't been a huge topic of conversation that, like, Emily was here and now I'm here, but, like, Emily and I sometimes will joke about it, like, when we were working camps together, stuff like that. I never played with her at Brandeis, so, but she's always been someone that I've, like, looked up to. You know, we have these setter or you have people in your position that you look up to and that you watch throughout your career, and she was definitely one of them. Like you said, tremendous career here. She had a great one in high school too, and it's been really cool because I've been able to see like how she learned here through Sean and like the coaching staff, and I'm just taking up every inch of information I can because that's definitely a career I would like to have here.
So again, Carlee, you're from San Antonio. I'm from San Antonio as well, so I've got to ask you, Spurs fan?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, thank goodness you said that. So
born and raised.
You and I can talk about Victor Wembanyama for the rest of the podcast if you want. Is that a no? Okay, all joking aside, kind of. Let me ask you this: who was your favorite Spur growing up?
I'm gonna sound basic if I say this, but Tim Duncan.
I'm glad. I'm so glad you said Tim Duncan for a number of reasons. You know, one of them, I didn't want to age myself too much. You know, if you were to come out and say, you know, I don't know, DeJounte Murray or something like that, then I'd feel old.
No,
but I'll make myself feel old anyway, Carlee. The first Spur I grew up idolizing was David Robinson.
Okay.
And, you know, and I kind of, you know, made the joke about Victor Wembanyama. Everybody saw the Spurs, you know, won the lottery and drafted him. I watched the lottery when they won the rights to get Tim Duncan. So that's how old I am.
Yeah, wow. Not that old.
Yeah, well, thanks for adding the wow to that. But
sorry.
No, again, I'm more than happy to make fun of myself like everybody else does. So, so San Antonio, what was it? You know, what is it that you like about that you enjoyed about growing up there? What is it that you like to do?
Oh, San Antonio was just the best place for like our family. My parents always said it was just the best place to raise a family, and I feel like it really was. Just like the community of San Antonio, and especially once I hit high school, went to Brandeis, that community, that culture is insane. And I loved that going into college, like having all of that I've learned from Brandeis and being in San Antonio, seeing that culture, seeing that community and that environment. I really, really was excited and was like, wow, I'm so ready to go to college and have an even bigger community and culture environment surrounding my school. And that's something that I've absolutely loved about Texas State being here, because when I was at TCU, it wasn't like that. The community here, and I'm not just talking about games or, you know, but Sean always makes jokes about small town celebrities and how he'll go and they'll be like, oh my gosh, Sean, or for example, Chisholm walks anywhere, everybody knows who she is, right? She's a legend. So I think it's really cool because I like to make relationships with people outside of the volleyball world that could see me and be like, hey, like, you're on the volleyball team, or you're wearing a Texas State volleyball shirt and you're at the grocery store and there's someone in that milk aisle who's like, hey, you play volleyball here? Like, that's awesome. And I love that stuff. I eat it up. I think it's awesome. And so that's something I think that I took from San Antonio that was really awesome.
I think it's great, by the way, that both you and I, you know, grew up in San Antonio, migrated here, you know, to Texas State, to San Marcos. And you kind of mentioned the community a bit, you know, and I tell people all the time, this is just such a tremendous college town. You know, one, you have a student body that's at a record number this year, just under 40,000. You know, you have the river that runs through campus. You have the square in downtown. If you want to go shopping, there's the outlets. You know, if for some reason you want to venture outside of San Marcos for entertainment, Austin and San Antonio are a short drive away. What is it about San Marcos, you know, that you enjoy the most? Like, how do you spend your free time when you're in town?
That's a hard one, actually. There's so many things. I always tell when we have recruits, my first thing is like, you're never going to get bored here. Like you just said, you listed that whole list of the square, the river, the malls. I love my outlet mall. I love it. I love it. I love it. My parents might not, but I love it. And so, is there a
particular store at the outlet you like the most?
All of them. I'm a big shopper. I'm a big shopper. Yeah, whenever I get the text saying, I see your locations at the outlets, I'm like, oops. And so, like I said, you just never get bored here. It's beautiful. Fun fact, this is probably going to sound kind of crazy, but before coming on my visit here, I had never actually been on campus at Texas State my whole life. I've driven past it numerous amount of times, but I've never actually been on campus until my visit here. So and when I tell people that, they're like, what? Like and even like Ortega from San Antonio, Alyssa Ortega on our team, she's like, what? Like I've been here before. And so it's just weird that I'm like, yeah, that is kind of crazy that like I'm 40 minutes down the road and I never really came here for anything until my visit and automatically fell in love.
So I understand too, that you have a boyfriend.
Yes.
And he is a Division I athlete as well, not too far from here, north in 35 at the University of Texas as a baseball player. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Who is he?
Jalen Flores.
All right. So, Jalen Flores. Okay. So let me ask you this. The baseball rivalry between the two schools has gotten pretty intense past couple of years. Last year, a record crowd showed out for the game at Bobcat Ballpark. Texas won that night. Bobcats the following night go up to Austin. They win the game there. Kind of very, similar to the series the year before with the home and home. So what was that dynamic like a little bit with you as a Bobcat, him as a Longhorn with the baseball games going on?
Yeah, that was fun for sure. I had to wear neutral colors. I did black and white. I felt bad wearing maroon because he would never wear burnt orange to my games. But just being able to support him is really nice too. We also came to college, like we were high school sweethearts. So we came to college. I went earlier than him, obviously, but it's been really nice to have that support system too, because he goes through the same stuff daily and it's different too, being a male athlete in college. And so I think hearing each other and having each other at the end of the day is really nice to be able to talk about the struggles and help each other through it. That's like such a big blessing.
So, circling back to, you're playing at Texas State. So you and Ryan Torres come in as the setters to, take over the mantle left behind by Emily DeWalt. Ryan kind of starts the year, suffers an injury, and then you get your opportunity over the past 2 weeks, starting all three of the games at a tournament in San Marcos, Southeast Louisiana, Cal, Abilene Christian, and then again on the road in Lawrence facing New Hampshire, Bellarmine, the host Jayhawks. So you've gotten 6 starts under your belt at the setter position. How do you feel as if you fared getting your first real playing time at Texas State, and what have you taken away from these last 6 matches?
Yeah, so I think we talked about it when it first happened. It sucks that had to be the way I got my opportunity, but at the same time, like, this is what happens in college athletics. You just got to take it and run with it, do the best you can. The first weekend was definitely, on and up for me. I had to get that experience again. I had never played a real volleyball match that counted for anything since my state championship match of November in 2021. So it had been a while until last weekend. So definitely was super different. Practices don't compare to like what it would. Our practices are very tough here. They prepare us very well, but definitely like the level of play is way higher than I've ever experienced. So playing that first weekend, I was like, okay, like I got to give myself grace. That's what we talked about a lot. I got to give myself grace. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to make some silly mistakes, but this is experience that I'm getting. And I think that this past weekend in Kansas, I felt so much more loose and free and so much more comfortable. And I'm able to like feel like myself again when it comes to like actually playing in my skill set.
I mentioned Ryan Torres. What is the dynamic like between the two of you, both playing the position, competing with one another for, that opportunity? You hear the term iron sharpens iron, where, if the two of you are playing at a high level, it's making each of you better. So what is the relationship like between you and Ryan? Yeah,
so I would hit the hammer on the nail with saying iron sharpens iron. Ryan and I make each other better every single day. We have a great relationship on and off the court, and that's something that I really, really cherish, and I know she does too. I've never had that relationship with another setter since high school, so it means a lot to me, and especially her being older. Like, it's really nice to have someone in your position that you compete with and that makes you better, but also, like, is such a good teammate. And, when she's been hurt, she's been cheering me on, checking up on me. And it was the same way when she was starting at the beginning. I was always had her back, always supporting her. talking to each other when we're on the bench. Like it's a great dynamic.
I understand this was, fed to me by the volleyball SID Megan Webb, that you live by a mantra of playing for an audience of one. Tell me
Yes.
what that means.
So that's a fun story. So when I went to camp at TCU the summer before my senior year, one of the girls who was going to be my teammate, she was a current player there. Her name's Taylor Raiola. She is an outside at TCU. Still talk to her. Still a great friend of mine. She had AO1 written on her shoes at camp, and I said, "Hey, like, what does that mean? Like, why do you have AO1 written on your shoes?" She was like, "Oh, it's for an audience of one. Like, I play for an audience of one." So I, put that in my head, and I was like, "Wow, that's really cool. Like, I like that." And I like to do devotionals on game day. I like to do like a devotional or read part of my Bible, and part of my Bible is a reading plan, so it'll tell you like what date you read what. So my first game day of my senior year, I did my devotional, and the verse was all about not pleasing man and pleasing God only, and only doing everything for Jesus. So I was like, wow, I want to share this, right? So I made a TikTok about it, and it got like 500,000 views and so many likes. I got like over 10,000 followers from it, and it blew my mind because I was like, wow, like this one little 30-second video has helped so many people, and I got so many messages. We would go to like tournaments my senior year of high school, and girls I had never met before would come up to me like on other teams and would be like, "Look at my shoe." Like they knew who I was through the TikTok. And so I thought that was really cool because it was like, I just made a TikTok about the gospel, and it had helped and changed so many people from it. And I by far I have a tattoo of it because it's like my favorite thing, and I love telling people the story because it's something that started off so small and turned into something like life-changing for me, and I feel like for a lot of other people.
I'm glad you shared the story, about your tattoo, by the way, too, because anybody that follows the podcast knows that I love talking to the student athletes about the rink and the stories behind them. So you beat me to the punch there. And you mentioned TikTok. I had a chance to kind of check out your socials before you got things going here. And, your Twitter and Instagram a lot of it's about, volleyball and your teammates and supporting the program and, promoting yourself and your playing career. Didn't check out your TikTok, but I understand that you still have a really large following. You're very involved with it. So what other examples can you give about what you've been doing on TikTok?
You already mentioned the boyfriend, so we post a lot of stuff together and people love that. So that's fun. The volleyball, we do game day dances, TikToks. I love it. It's so fun. It's just a good way to let loose and meet people. I never really was a big person of like, oh, you can meet friends through social media, but other volleyball players, I've made so many friends through that, so that's really cool.
I also understand, too, very down-to-earth person, really engaging with anybody and everybody. And I was actually given an example of this past week at Kansas. You ended up chatting up some of the security guards. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Security guards, yeah, I did do that.
Okay.
They were, helping us through the KU environment. Amazing. Mm-hmm. I kept telling Sean, this is so freaking cool. Like, I love being here. And we had actually gone there when I played at TCU. Mm-hmm. And so same thing, just different situation for me. And I loved it. I embraced it. And it was just super busy the day KU was playing someone. So their big crowd was in there, and there were security guards trying to guide us through. And I just had a full on conversation with one. So, and everybody was like, Carlee, you don't even, I'm like, I don't care. He seems cool. He's funny.
Well, a really fun story there, Carlee, and so many that you shared with us, on the podcast. Everything from your upbringing in San Antonio, just how impactful your transfer to Texas State has been, and you and your family and your love for the game. your fandom of the Spurs, which I can certainly appreciate.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, your social media presence, is everything that you share with us today has been phenomenal. Getting to know more about you is, you're one of the newest players on this team, a program that's been so successful, that's had so many great players come through it. You're next in line. So, Carlee, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck to you and your teammates the rest of the year.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
You got it. Well, that again, Carlee Pharris joining us on this week's States Up podcast. Carlee and the Bobcats opening up Sun Belt Conference play this week against ULM. And that again is going to close things out. So for Carlee Pharris, I'm Brant Freeman, reminding you to keep your States up, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.